Yes, hey, Freddie's here! Freddie, it's a poor thing, sorry, not sorry. But speaking of Kanan, there's a moment, a sort of pivotal moment, and in case somebody hasn't seen the show, I won't ruin it for you, but we were all in the studio together, and Vanessa and I were just talking about this, and we didn't know something was about to happen. And Dave ripped a piece of paper out of his script, walked in the studio, handed it to me, and said, "Okay, go ahead, get me through." And at that point, it was just, what? And then we got to see what actually happened. So I love the fact that sometimes he's very, like, I've never had that experience.
As Ezra, as every other character. But yeah, I mean, with Dave, did he talk you guys through voices? Yeah? Cool. Well, that makes sense. No, I just led with what I had.
I did my audition with a full Cockney accent. Says it's kind of it's similar to what you ended up with, but you couldn't understand a bloody word he said. So we got in the studio for callbacks. Is that not working? Oh, how's that? Is that better? Okay. So anyway, did you hear that other part?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, we get into the studio for callbacks at Disney, and Dave is sitting there, and he goes, "Well, I'm not sure what we're gonna do for the accent. Just try Italian, try German, try French, try Spanish." We went through probably 15 different dialects. Italian's up?
Do it!
Carabas, so good. It's not so good. They have no pasta in space, so it does not work for them. But we tried so many different things, and then finally we just landed. I just did this really crappy amalgamation of sort of a little bit of Cockney, a little bit of Australian. So it was basically a bad UK accent. So anybody from the UK goes, "What region is that from?" And I go, "There isn't one. We're in space." And Dave goes, "Yeah, it really doesn't matter. You know, we just want something that looks good with him because we have to animate it. Because we don't expect a lot of hair because hair is too expensive." That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Also, if I may just interject, that's just a testament to the unbelievable talent of Steve Bloom, that you could just go, "Oh, you know what about this? What about this? What about this?" And Steve can deliver.
Oh my gosh.
I mean it. That's like when you have people that are so incredibly talented that can just pull out, you know, what would you like? What else can I give you? That's Steve Bloom for you.
I want to know how you came up with Darth, because he didn't speak in the movies, right? Like
he had like three lines.
Maybe, yeah.
3 lines.
Yeah.
Dave and I talked a lot about him over and over and over again before we recorded, but he never asked me what it was going to sound like. It was all, I think he understood that it's like, if we decide on who he is, somehow you'll do your job and it'll sound right. That was sort of what it was. But for me, the important thing was, because we were going to open up with this spider version of the character, and it was going to be out of his mind, I felt that when he got his mind back, for at least an episode or 2, he should sound like Phantom Menace. So that was the only, and I remember saying that to Dave, I'm like, look, at some point we have to give the audience exactly what they're expecting before we move, because we're going to shock them with this spider thing, which is not what they asked for. But it's what George asked for, and he's gonna have spider legs, or you're fired. But then he gets his mind back, so he needed to have that, you know, should have that going on. And then he was gonna start getting a little bit more eccentric. And the fun thing was, when we got to Rebels, we were like, okay, we got away with the spider guy thing. We got away with all of the stuff we got away with in Clone Wars that we were afraid we were not going to get away with it, but we got away with it. So when it came to Rebels, we're like, well, now if we don't do something weird, the audience is going to be disappointed. Now they need something weird. So we're like, let's make him really, really nice. Let's make him sweet. Let's have him befriend a young boy who really needs some guidance. You know, really needs a master. You know, because Kanan ain't cutting it, man.
Oh my
You
god.
know? And so you know, Maul, being the generous spirit that he was outreach. He was outreach to the youth, and befriended Ezra, and that friendship lasts to this day.
By the way, if y'all are on Twitch, you haven't lived until you watch Sam Witwer play video games, voicing Dave Filoni, judging him playing. What is it? At Sam Witwer? Yeah, you've got to see this. It's you
So
must-
noisy over here.
So this is the deal. Me and Filoni go back to like Fire Nation days, right? And then he's doing a new show in outer space. And then I play basketball with Taylor. And so it was just like, let's go and hang out in space. And I'm a bad voice actor like Taylor. We just sound like ourselves in everything we do. I think it's, you know, the great thing about Filoni is he's just, again, the keeper of the lore. And for people that don't know, he's also from Pittsburgh. So every time I work with him, he's always wearing some Pittsburgh like team. It's black, you know the song Black and Yellow, that's Filoni. It's like the Penguins, the Steelers, the Pirates, whatever, it's the caveat. So that's Filoni, but I mean, I think we've said, like, we're forever teenagers in animation world. I think if I ever play a teenager, I'm like, getting so old and I'm still playing teenagers. And yeah, Rufio. I think with my time in Neverland has a little too much fairy dust. And so I just my voice has stayed a certain age. And yeah.
It's a beautiful voice, don't ever change.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, no, I did. I know. Yes, you've directed me as an adult. But it's still, I don't know. I just try to be in the moment and just try to tell the story as we. But it's very cool to be a part of the Rebel Force with these guys, with some of these guys. Of course.
Every now and then we get auditions where we sort of like, oh, I think this is different than what they're saying this is for. And Steve and I we'd been together for a couple of years at that point, I think, and I got an audition, and I looked at it, and at the end of it, they wanted to hear what it would sound like if I was being choked by an invisible force. And at that point I went, honey, I think this is for rebels. I think this is for rebels, you know? And I did the audition, and I walked in and Dave said, just so you know, Mary,
I didn't know that.
you didn't get this because of Steve. You got this because of you. And I'm like, oh, Dave, that was really nice.
He reiterated that to me too.
How
He
old is
said,
he?
you have no power in this universe at all.
Okay.
A lot of these characters are new characters that
No,
were brought into the series.
I was thinking Sam. Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
Finding out they got cast in it.
I was like,
Did you happen to do any deep dives into the Star Wars universe?
That one makes sense.
yeah, no, I was confused.
I did because I, learned I was playing a Mandalorian, and I knew immediately that I needed to know a lot more about Mandalorians. So, I mean, again, Dave is like the best source of information. So he really gave me a lot to work with and a lot to sort of study up on, and he directed me to, Clone Wars episodes, Mandalorian arc in Clone Wars, and so I got to work and I did a bunch of homework, but I mean, it's Star Wars, so it's like the best, easiest homework one could do, but there's a lot of it. So I just appreciate that I had Dave, and then you've got Vanessa and Sam and Freddie, and Freddie, who again are if Dave isn't available, these guys are all have encyclopedic knowledge about Star Wars, so I had a lot of good resources to help me if I ever needed guidance or wait, what happened to that one character? Boom, somebody here knows. Somebody knows. So that was really helpful.
I was a fan of Rebels before I joined the cast, and one of the coolest things to watch was how Taylor learned about Star Wars, because it happened on set. Taylor, do you want to talk about that?
I'll admit, I had not seen all of the Star Wars movies. I was a novice when it came to Star Wars, But Dave said something to me early on. He was like, look, every character that's in Star Wars doesn't know all the lore like every fan. They don't know what's gone on all these different planets. And with Ezra, when he goes to space in the first episode from Lothal, where he's amazed that he's in space. He's never been anywhere but Lothal. And he was like, look, you don't need to keep any secrets. I know you don't know Star Wars. Don't watch anything. We'll teach you. And every day, I was just a sponge to anything Dave had. But being between Sam and Freddy for that whole arc was insane. Because I have Sam on one side saying, yes, my apprentice, this is why the dark side is the way to go. Telling me everything about Maul and why I should go to the dark side. And Freddy, on the other hand, doing the exact opposite. And then they would just start bickering with each other. And I was like, this is incredible.
That was one of my favorite things, was that me and Taylor just do it, we did scene, right? And as you know, you were given your gift for one reason, to use it. Can I count on you? You know, and we do that. And then Dave says cut, and then I see Taylor go,
that makes sense.
Yes! And then Freddy is amazing. No, don't you understand? That's the trap of the dark side, dude. That is exactly the problem. Don't you understand? He's using you. Action. Ezra, he's using you. And I was looking over at David, and Dave's just smiling. He put Taylor between me and Freddy to confuse him. It was amazing. It was so awesome.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, very, very meta.
I love that so much.
I didn't realize that Zeb was really based on an old Ralph McQuarrie design for the original Wookiee. In fact, they actually made an action figure that looked like Zeb but with more hair. And hair is very expensive in the show, so he's the hairless Wookiee. And once I learned that, it kind of put a level of pressure on, because I just didn't want to disappoint the fans. We're introducing this character that may have had intention to be introduced a lot earlier in the process and was probably just thrown by the wayside. So there were a lot of little nuggets throughout the show that were really an homage to McQuarrie's genius. And some of the set design, the colors, the textures, a lot of that was McQuarrie. That really didn't come into fruition until that show. So, but Dave didn't really let us in on a lot of that stuff because he didn't want, I don't think, bless him, stop it. Ew, space germs. Yeah, I think he didn't really want to burden us with that until later on. He let us all discover that as we went. For those of us who didn't know quite as much as some of the encyclopedias.
Me.
How many have watched Ahsoka? Great, good. We can talk about it. I have no idea what happened with the casting process for that, but how do you guys feel watching Persona? And I could be stepping in something very deep here that I don't know, but how do you feel watching your characters evolve to the next part?
I haven't seen it yet. So that's mine.
I hate to disappoint you, but I also have not watched, so I don't have I have not been able to form my own opinions yet, but does not like my answer. But I have gotten to hear a lot from you guys and from people on Twitter and Instagram, and so I appreciate everyone's insight and feedback and feelings, good, bad, all of it. But yeah, I'll get back to you.
I've only seen one episode. I can't wait to watch more, and I'm just a Star Wars junkie, so any Star Wars content is soul food for me. So, and it's interesting that the characters meant so much in animation that they translated into live action. So that was a huge compliment to everyone's work, and I'm going to leave it there.
I have to say, watching Ahsoka, I hear you, and I hear you. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So you should know that they modeled their performances after what you guys did. And it's like your speech pattern, it's freaky at times. It really
I also just wanted to say that even though I haven't watched it yet, I just I'm like Sabine's biggest fan, and I'm just thrilled that Sabine's story continues on in any capacity, whether it's live action or animation, and whether or not I have anything to do with it. I'm thrilled that Sabine lives. Sabine lives on. So yeah.
there's something radioactive under the table or something.
I blame Chopper. It's Chopper's fault. Stop it. See how he's looking at you? Yeah, he means to do this.
All right. Final question, and then we'll open it up to the audience for Q&A. But I do want to go ahead and ask, some of you wear different hats from directing, writing, acting, voice acting. What hat would you say is your favorite one to wear?
Cowboy hat.
He's produced and directed.
Yeah, no, it's all, you know, it really comes down to, and I think it comes down to a great story. You just want to be a part of a great story, whether as an actor, as a writer, as a producer, as a director. I mean, this whole world of Comic-Con that we all go to is because we're all part of great stories. And so when you find yourself in a great story, that's where the magic comes. And any part of that, you want to just be a part of that.
For me, it's voiceover because it's all I know how to do.
Good thing you're so good at it.
It's all hard it's all difficult, and you know, you're always facing the possibility of completely embarrassing yourself, so it's great. I like it. I also, you know, this is neither here nor there, but I've been rewatching Rebels, and I liked it a lot when I watched it before. This is before I joined the cast. Watching it now, I'm like, whoa, this is way better than I remember, and I loved it then.
I already talked to them a lot
It's
today.
really, really strong. So any of my colleagues here who have not done a rewatch, do it. You're gonna be really proud. You're gonna be really proud of yourselves.
I feel like the more we act, if we do act, direct, and do all this stuff, each one informs the other. So if you're directing one day, you'll be a better actor the next day. And if you're acting that day, you'll be a better director the next day. And if you're directing that day, you'll be a better writer the day after. So each one informs the other, but Dante has it down. It's about great storytelling. And what's really interesting is that after the world shut down and we started working from home, voiceover was sort of the first thing that came back. And normally when you're in a studio, actors are on one side of the glass by themselves and everybody else is on the other, and we're talking and everything else, and unless we have a talkback button down, they usually can't hear what we're saying. So that talkback, the veil dropped because everybody was on Zoom together, and I felt like it was the most creative way to record, because now they were in the room where it was happening and we were all listening to the same thing, and now the actors felt like they were part of telling a story, not looking at a script going BS, BS, my line, BS, BS, my line. It's that idea of you are the shiniest cog in this big machine, but now they saw the machine, and it kind of took the burden off of them to be now a collaborator instead of it all focused on the self and the ego. So it's been a really interesting last 3 years.
I like writing, actually. I have a lot of experience as a stand-up comic. So I like writing. None of these are working now. Hey, what's up?
I had a question I asked you guys a little earlier when I came and visited you guys. But I would like to ask all of you, sorry Sam, I can't see if there's a speaker in the way. But I would like to ask each of you if you could pay your respects and be in a live action appearance, what would you like it to be? A spin-off of Rebels and you guys make a minor cameo, like Anakin's voice actor, or would you want to be a more important part of the story?
If I ever could play Mara Jade, I would sell my soul. That's my answer.
gave him a hard question.
Can I be Han Solo?
Yeah.
Yeah, Han Solo, easy.
Princess Leia. She's my princess. I love her so much. Bet you a little short for a stormtrooper.
They did a musical with Jabba. I got to do that.
Growing up, we all wanted to be Luke Skywalker, and then when we got grown up, we all wanted to be Han Solo. But just to have any small, because this is the first fandom, even when I got to come and do a few episodes, to have a small piece of Star Wars is the dream. So it's amazing.
I'd love to do the voice of the Sarlacc too. Right?
Come into my garlic! Jump into my face! 10,000 years in my gullet! Jump into my face!
If you had a lightsaber, what color would it be?
Purple. No, it would be dark. It would be dark. It would be the dark saber. Scratch my first answer.
I like the classic blue, like the pale blue, New Hope blue version.
I think it's fun.
As a kid that saw Return of the Jedi in the movie theater, when Luke's blue turns green, we lost our friggin' minds. We were like, ah!
Let's talk about that. How cool is that? First of all, they talk about economic storytelling. We all know that there was a deleted scene, and they cut it. Because it's way more dramatic to learn that he has a lightsaber at that moment, right? I remember like a bunch of teenagers in the audience like, what's he gonna do? He doesn't have a lightsaber. And I'm like an 8-year-old, or what, 5-year-old. I'm like, it's right, he doesn't have a lightsaber. And then he picks up the bone. That's not a lightsaber. And he's gonna fight the Rancor. But then his lightsaber shows up. And any explanation of where it came from is solved by the fact that it's the same design as Obi-Wan's, but it's different. And you're like, oh, okay, well, Obi-Wan was on Tatooine. Clearly, there was something left behind for Luke to learn how to build a lightsaber. It's all you need to know. And it's green. That's it. I'm like, get it, built it, understood, fight. Now we're moving on. It's incredible how Lucas does those things where it's like, they don't really need to know the specifics. It's just think about it's green. You're fired. Yeah.
Kermit the Frog directed. Gold. I love Rey's lightsaber. I think that might be my favorite. I love it. Although I did build one in Galaxy's Edge with a Rancor tooth, and it was green because I was playing a druid in D&D, so I made a druid lightsaber. Because nerd crosses many streams.
I'd love one that changes, so it would be like a rave saber. Vibrating and changing colors, right?
Strobes.
Well, that'd be good if we catch them off guard.
It's a lot of hyper crystals.
Yeah.
Mine would have a blaster on it. It would be blue and have a blaster. Absolutely.
And I interest you in a slightly used bow staff.
I'd probably go with green for Hera.
Yeah.
How did you kind of tackle that?
Yes, and can I just say you have a beautiful voice? You should be up here. I want you to read me like a bedtime story. It's so soothing. Go. Okay, I'll also answer the question. How about that? Okay, well, the finale is also one of my favorite episodes, but selfishly, my own personal favorite is Trials of the Darksaber, and recording that was quite challenging, emotionally, and just, I play a character who does not emote. Well, she emotes anger, and sort of, but she doesn't allow herself to be emotional, and so having to sort of experience those emotions as a person who doesn't let herself be vulnerable ever was quite challenging. But again, having Dave which, as these guys would tell you, we never, ever, ever got. We would get scripts the night before, you know, a morning session the following day, and we would be like, "What happened? Oh my god!" But in that case, he pulled me aside and gave me a long time to know that this was going to be coming up, and it was going to be an emotional roller coaster. And he said, "We're going to make it a safe space. It's just going to be you and Freddie," and it was. And you know, it's having wonderful people to help you get through it was incredibly helpful, and the words themselves were incredibly helpful because it's beautifully written. But yes, that was probably for me the most challenging episode because I needed to go to a place where Sabine had never let herself go to before or after. Yeah.
I think we all were gifted with something a little bit different that we might not have been expecting. There was an episode, I just have to look it up because I couldn't remember, called The Honorable Ones with Zeph and Callis. And Zeph, up to that point, was kind of big brother, comedy relief. I actually got to go to a place with David in that episode where we had to deal with our demons and we had to deal with our guilt and shame and loss. And it was deep. I remember being physically affected by that. And you know, everything that came after that with the Calazem shipping stuff. By the way, it was still a thing. It's good. He's still farming Mei-Lu runs on lyrics right now. So as soon as he finishes, maybe we'll get our show. We'll see. No, that was deep. It was really deep.
Hi, my question for you all is, who has been your favorite Star Wars villain?
Darth Maul.
You're like, okay, fine, me! Come on, guys, is there any other question? No, I love Palpatine. I love Palpatine. Love him.
Which one?
Oh yeah, I do too, yeah. Me! No, I love that guy. He's terrific. Ian McDermott, I mean, the guy was like in his late 30s. We all assumed they're like, I think they got the oldest actor ever to play that guy. No, he was in his late 30s. Some dude that George was like, it's that guy. You know? And boy, what a lucky casting decision that was, because he went on to absolutely dominate in the prequels and now in various TV shows, and you got to go toe-to-toe with him in Rebels, and it's just such a astonishingly great character and performance.
For me, it was Stormtrooper number 6,781. He was the only one who could shoot, and he died immediately in one of the games. So it was sad. You guys would have liked it.
Gotta give a tip of the hat to Thrawn, though. I mean, man, Lars just purrs that whole character. He's just sort of, well, we've come together now before. To me, I like more contained, quiet, like Hannibal Lecter-like villains, and moments when Darth Maul was that way too, is sort of the quiet, very careful. Is so dangerous to me, as opposed to you darn, and it's just like get a new pair of lungs. So did I hurt you? I love Darth. That's what I'm saying, is that I love. But who's the
dying is me too.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about him. I like him.
Which one?